Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So this video is going to be about how to integrate and heal from past toxic relationships after a spiritual awakening. And I should say after a Kundalini awakening. Especially if your Kundalini awakening was spontaneous and intense and you have had to uncover decades of trauma in the process of trying to become this new conscious wonderful being that you are blossoming into. I had some really toxic, sludgy, weird, intense romantic relationships. And I've noticed that trying to integrate those toxic, sludgy, unbelievably intense romantic relationships has been really challenging. I think one of the first things that happened is that as I healed and became less toxic myself, I wanted to go back and, I guess, test in some way if I was the problem and make amends for what part I had in it. And then in that process, notice that the same pattern started again. And then I would have to pull myself out of it. And it didn't seem to matter how much I grew as a person. The relationship was stuck in the place that it was because he hadn't grown. And so there's a grief there that you want it to be, you want to have the ability to fix it all and to make it all better and to somehow go back to your past self, this past life, this past, important person, and take away the pain that was there. They're still alive, so you think, oh, I can fix this. When it comes to romantic relationships, those integrated territories that kind of take the childhood traumas, whatever you received from your parents, infuse it into a romantic relationship. And then when that goes bad, you have layers of your own shit and layers of theirs, and then the layers you've created together. It's just this toxic sludge storm of trauma that no amount of enlightenment can go back and undo. It's just not possible. That's not how it works. They would have to equally have cleaned out their stuff. And then what you notice is that once that stuff is actually healed, the thing that drew you together, which was the pain that you were emitting from a childhood need left unmet, the draw isn't there. You don't have the same attraction because the attraction was all based on that karmic drive, that intrinsic need to feel all of the things that you didn't get as a kid. So if you grew up in a broken home, some of the things that you missed out, if you didn't have a dad in the picture, the dad has the masculine energy is grounding, it's stabilizing, there's safety, there's this sense of masculinity has a way of knowing how to utilize the external environment in a way that's really it's like that logic mind. It's kind of like a logic confidence that they're one with nature in a way that women have a higher level of, the intelligence comes in on more of the subtle planes, and the masculine is more grounded. And so if you don't get an equal balance of both of those, you might rely more on one than the other, and not really understand how to pick a good partner that's going to counterbalance what your skills are. Because we all have a little bit of both these capacities, but masculine energy is definitely held more, in the father figure. Feminine energy is held more in the maternal figure. And when those aren't balanced well, it can really mess up how you are walking in the world, and the partner that you seek might not be representative of something that's equal to your true self, but whatever messaging you took in and started to believe about yourself. So you're picking the partner based on a false image of who you really are. And coupled with that, karmic pain and trauma that you're trying to heal. Because when you get hurt in some way, you're going to try to fix it, because we're always trying to go towards this holistic, balanced sense of self. It's a tricky thing to heal from. It takes a lot of effort to become present in yourself and tolerate being alone and tolerate being this new person that you're turning into, that you're not quite there yet. You want to get to the, the good stuff, and you're still a work in progress. And I think that there's ways to do this parallel with other people, but you have to like really resolve the past, in terms of, I'm not going back to redo what I've done before. I have to find a new path forward. And when it's really toxic, that pull to go back and literally revisit the same old patterns with a person, it can be hard. I think that's why people have to, when they talk about being in relationships with narcissists and having to do that, like, stone that rock thing, like, give them nothing. You have to do that with yourself a little bit. You have to create that with your past toxic relationships. You have to be done with them and know that you have taken lessons from there that show you what you were given as a child, what was taken into your system as a child, so that you know how to break those patterns and not continue it. The more that I heal, the less gets passed on to the next generation. My parents had no time, ability, or support to do those things, so it got put on my shoulders. And what I can do is not continue the pattern anymore, and hold myself accountable to not make the same decisions and choices. And it's tough post-awakening, because you can't just choose anybody after you're awake, because going back into like some level of numbness and dissociation and lack of discipline that you can easily get pulled into if you're with a person who's kind of just like, oh no, all of that airy fairy woo woo stuff it's not for me. So you can, the discipline you need to maintain to stay conscious, it might be a little easier to just ignore the nudges that you're supposed to follow if you get into a relationship with someone who's unawakened. So it is more challenging because there aren't as many of us, and you have to really do a lot of work on becoming present with yourself before you can really hold the space to be in a relationship with someone. And then, if you're helping them with their karma, that just might be, one of those weird soul things. But more and more, I wonder if the whole point of being, everybody has their own ideas about what does it mean to be alive, or why are we on Earth, and why are we doing this whole whatever it is. And I really believe, in a large part, that it is about having the experience of a soulmate. There is something quite exquisite and spectacular about that, and it requires a kind of a complete truthiness of who you are and what you're bringing to the table. And the more present you can be, it's like that tantric perfection. You have to have the energy flowing through you in completeness in order to really be met with that on equal footing. And everything else is like this weird toxic version of it that is hopefully just like that little pitchfork in the back of your behind. That's not it. Go look for something better. Heal this, find that beautiful strength within yourself. And yeah, so it's a work in progress. That's what I'm working on right now, is trying to figure out how to trust again that there is that reflection that divine reflection to come back that isn't the old patterns that I got handed down from a traumatic childhood. So if you're in it with me, please feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, take care.